Yeah.
Yeah. Ed, you're probably right. And if it were not this case, he would have looked for another publicity opportunity to deliver his message, had it not been Matthew Shepard. I agree with you that his role was blown way out of proportion. It was a small group.
Right.
Introducing touch-free payments from PayPal, a safe way for your customers to pay. Whether you're a market seller,
I'll take 2 tomatoes and a cucumber,
poodle pamperer, piano tuner, or plumber. Signing up to accept touch-free payments for your business is easy. Simply download the PayPal app and display your own unique QR code for your customers to scan. Touch-free QR code payments. No seller fees until 2021. Not applicable to PayPal here transactions. Other fees may apply. Shop safe with PayPal.
It's premiere week on The Kelly Clarkson Show, and we've got music's biggest stars all week long. Performances by John Legend, Little Big Town, Machine Gun Kelly, and Common. And appearances by Usher, Josh Groban, Queen Latifah, and more. Get ready, y'all. The Kelly Clarkson Show. All new Season 2.
Weekdays at 2 on NBC4.
Not a large group, but there were other people out there. For example, someone did fire a gun into the prosecutor's home one night, and as I said, there were death threats.
We got our break coming up. We got our first break coming up.
Sure.
So we're here with fascinating Stephen Jimenez, author of The Book of Matt, Hidden Truths About the Murder of Matthew Shepard. That book is available on Amazon.com. You can also go to my blog. Just go to Google and type in The Opperman Report in quotes. The blog will come up at the top, and you can get a link to his book, and you can click on it and get the book right while we're talking. Stephen Jimenez, I called you Jimenez, I'm sorry. Stephen Jimenez, okay, is a fascinating guy.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
No problem, man.
He's worked for 2020, Dan Rather Reports, Nova, Fox Court TV, and we're going to be right back with more Stephen Jimenez right after this.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. Every Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Studio A. Coming up in the next few weeks, we're going to have Cindy Sheehan, who's running for governor of California. We have a couple of mob guys here in Vegas who run the mob tours, and they run the mob conventions, and these are actual mob guys from the movie Casino in those days, and they're still around. I don't know how they made it, but they're still here. And also coming up, we got a show about Jim Jones in Jonestown, Guyana. We're going to be doing it in the next 3 or 4 weeks. But tonight we got Stephen Jimenez, author of The Book of Matt, Hidden Truths About the Murder of Matthew Shepard. And that book is available on Amazon.com. You can go to my blog, The Opperman Report, and you can click on the book and you can pick it up tonight. Stephen, I'm sure a lot of people call you Jimenez, right?
Oh, I've been called everything.
Because I'm from New York as well. I'm from first the Bronx, then Staten Island, and and back there, I think we always said Jimenez.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about what we call each other.
Yeah, there you go. What part of Brooklyn you're from?
Well, I grew up in Park Slope.
Okay.
A part of Park Slope they now call Windsor Terrace, and then later Brooklyn Heights. But Park Slope is where I lived till I was about 14.
Okay, now, what about Laramie, Wyoming? Do you think this is a homophobic town, or was at the time?
No, I do not.
Right.
No, I do not. And I've spent a lot of time. There over the years. Laramie's a college town. Laramie is no more homophobic, Ed, than any other community or city in the country. Homophobia is something it's the behavior of an individual. It's not a town is homophobic. And I think it's an unfortunate thing. I hear from, I've made some good friends in Laramie, and they tell me to this day, they'll go on a vacation and, they'll tell someone where they're from. They could be in another country, and they'll say, they're from Wyoming, from Laramie. The immediate association is hate crime.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's one of the points. That's really why I wanted to bring on the show, because I've known about a lot of this. Okay, I had friends in Laramie during the time of this trial who were telling me, Ed, this is not a homophobic town. We live and let live. I believe at the time that Matthew Shepard was at the University of Wyoming that there were two gay groups there at the school that were, had plenty of members, and I think they had a newspaper as well. And as you mentioned, he had a bunch of gay. Yeah.
He was active in a student group on campus, and also the bar where he met up with Aaron McKinney and Russell Henderson that night was a bar that some gay people in town went to. The DJ that they all knew. There were gay people that went to that bar. I'm not saying that, homophobia doesn't exist in places. Surely it exists. But the way in which his town was characterized as being a place full of intolerant, bigoted people, it's not true. And one of the things I describe in the book, Ed, and, I hope your listeners will take the time to read it, because it's really hard to summarize so many years of work, and I think it's just really a classic American story. But I describe early in the book my first experiences in Wyoming years before the Shepard case. Here I was a guy that came from New York City, and I was a writer in residence at the Ucross Foundation Ranch, which is in a very remote location in northeastern Wyoming. It's a working cattle ranch. And, I was there several years before the attack on Matthew Shepard happened. And I had a feeling of, people being very, very open, very straightforward. I mean, is there some cultural conservatism in Wyoming? Yes. But that's neither here nor there. And it's not something negative. I think often when you visit communities that have been more consistent over time, that are smaller, that you may find that cultural conservatism. You can find that same cultural conservatism in Boston, Massachusetts. So I don't say that disparagingly, but that does not translate into bigotry or intolerance.
Yeah, I think the bigotry is people from big cities like us who look down on these small towns and say, oh, there are a bunch of hillbillies over there, a bunch of hicks. Because my understanding of Laramie especially is this town is full of people who live and let live and don't butt in other people's businesses for the most part. And they have that kind of attitude, yeah. Oh, boy. Okay.
And I would say that's true.
Yeah.
I would say what you said is very true. And let's just keep this in mind. It's a college town. It's the home of the only four-year university in the state of Wyoming, the University of Wyoming. People refer to it as Wyoming's hometown because the people there are very friendly, and it's certainly the most liberal town, in the state of Wyoming because the university is there.
Gotcha. Okay, and at that time, there was quite a bit of methamphetamine use in that town, in that college, and that kind of stuff, wasn't there?
Yes, and it's something that, there's quite a bit about that in the book. But again, let me give you give your listeners a little bit of context, Ed. The national media was not really looking at the methamphetamine epidemic, really examining it at the time Matthew Shepard was attacked in 1998. The meth story did not become a big national story until, 2003, 4, 5, 6, really after 2004, 2005, 2006. And until that time, until it gets on the cover of Time or Newsweek or it's a big story in the New York Times, it's not, people are not paying attention to it in public media. And I think it's unfortunate because by the time Matthew was killed in 1998, this was already becoming a big problem, not just in Wyoming, but in many states in the Midwest and Western region, in the Rocky Mountain region. It was already a problem in Missouri, Nebraska, Kansas. it was becoming a big problem in Wyoming and Montana, Colorado. And we know now that it's moved, it certainly moved through the South. But, it's one of those paradoxes that really we owe it to the TV series Breaking Bad, because that's really what began to educate people about the harsh realities of methamphetamine. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think Breaking Bad started to air, maybe 2007, I'm going to say, or it's 2008, the earliest. I'm sorry, it's even later. I'm trying to think, it was maybe 5 years ago. So really, it's been in the last 5-6 years that people have been really aware of meth and what it does. But at the time, that part of the story was really left out. I mentioned one reporter in my book. She's really the only reporter that even mentioned this in a serious way. She wrote an article. Her name is Joanne Vipajeski, and she wrote an article for Harper's Magazine at the time. And she suggested, there appeared to be underpinnings to this case. But her article was published while the court records were still sealed and the witnesses were still gagged. And when I began doing investigative work on the story, I contacted her, and she was very generous and offered me a couple of leads that turned out to be quite valuable. I was really able to follow her tracks where she began but couldn't really go at the time. But she was really the only reporter that looked at this, in a serious way.
But, Stephen, even during the trial, just watching court TV, there were so many other factors that were going on that night of the murder, like these two guys trying to sell the gun, drugs in Matthew Shepard's system. I believe he had cocaine in his system. And then these guys attacked and beat up two other guys later on that night who weren't gay. They attacked the two Spanish guys who were vandalizing cars, stealing hubcaps or something, correct?
Right. They were popping tires. Now, Ed, you're raising, one of the issues that I find fascinating in the case. If Aaron McKinney's motive, because let's just for a moment separate Aaron McKinney and Russell Henderson. Aaron McKinney was the killer. Aaron McKinney it was his gun, okay, the .357 Magnum, which he took the barrel of that gun and he smashed it into Matthew Shepard's skull somewhere between, say, 15 and 18 times. Those were the fatal blows. That's what killed Matthew Shepard. There's no evidence that Russell Henderson ever struck Matthew Shepard. But McKinney's alleged motive was that he hated gay people. That's why he beat Matthew to death. Well, in my research, I found, along the lines of what you're saying, that in a 24-hour period, Aaron McKinney assaulted 4 males. The night before this crime against Matthew Shepard took place, McKinney broke into his cousin's home in the early morning hours. This was late Monday night, early morning hours Tuesday. And he was looking for a friend of his who he said owed him money for drugs. And this happened to be someone, the guy's name is Monty, and Aaron McKinney had beaten Monty up before. I spoke with witnesses who had been present when he had beaten Monty up before. So Aaron McKinney lunges at this guy. The other guys that are in the house pull Aaron McKinney off him because he's really, first of all, he's in a classic state of meth rage. By the night he met up with Shepard, he'd been up on meth for 1 week straight. Okay, so they leave the bar with Matthew and they end up at the fence. And in the course of the beating, Russell Henderson tried to stop Aaron McKinney, and Aaron McKinney took the gun he was beating Shepard with and struck Russell Henderson across the face. Russell Henderson has the scars very visible above his mouth. He got 9 stitches in the hospital emergency room that night.
Really?
So
I didn't
here
know that.
he now, yeah. And here's someone that Aaron McKinney was telling people, even though Russell Henderson and McKinney, they had only been friends for a couple of months since early that summer. That's when the two men became friends. In fact, Aaron McKinney and Matthew Shepard were friends longer and knew each other longer than McKinney and Henderson. But McKinney was telling people, Russell Henderson's my best friend. Here he takes the gun that he was